Hello, everyone. Today we are hosting a Solana DeFi November Roundtable covering various thematic topics that happened over the past month within the Solana DeFi ecosystem. We're joined by Lucas from Jito, Cindy from Drift, Anas from Flash Trade, and Jay from Sanctum. So I'll pass it off to Anas here for a round of introductions.
GM guys, Anas here, co-founder of Flash Trade. We're building an asset-backed perpetuals exchange that allows you to trade on leverage on Solana with the highest leverage possible in less than 3 clicks.
Awesome, love it. And yeah, I was going to preface this too. So we're going to try to make this as conversational as possible between all the speakers. So guys, feel free to jump in and also ask each other questions kind of as we go too. But Cindy, let's go ahead and pass it off to you.
Hey guys, I'm Cindy. I'm the co-founder of Drift. We're a PerpDex DeFi platform, liquidity platform built on Solana. We offer leverage on perps as well as the highest yields on stablecoins, SOL LSTs. And one of the unique things about Drift is that you can use any asset on Solana as collateral. So yeah, really excited to be chatting with you guys today.
Awesome, love it. Yeah, and Lucas.
Hey, my name's Lucas, co-founder and CEO of Jito Labs. We build high-performance MEV infrastructure on Solana, and then also our technical contributors to Jito Protocol, which runs Jito Sol and Jito restaking.
Awesome, yeah, thank you. And so the Syndica team is hosting today. I'm Dan, head of growth at Syndica. We're an infrastructure provider on Solana, so our RPC APIs. Super excited to kind of have all the guests. We've been publishing various research reports about different topics within Solana, from DePIN to DeFi. So wanted to give some of the products that we've featured, like Jito, Drift, Flash Trade here, a chance to kind of come on and talk about some things on the data side that we've been seeing and have like a little roundtable to collaborate the minds. So I guess actually let's kind of start with this. I'll go a little bit off the script, but today Solana is almost at an all-time high, and the last time it was trading at these prices was November of 2021. So it's certainly been a very long bear market. And so I actually just the first thing that I want to know is kind of what's going through some of your thoughts from today to like obviously where we were at a few years ago with a low of 8, and kind of like what that journey's been like over the past now year and a half. So can we start with you, Lucas?
Yeah, it's been an insane year. I mean, yeah, I think we don't need to go over all the FTX stuff. I think everyone here went through that and was pretty painful, but I think there was so many people that bought into the Solana vision and doubled down during the bear, and everyone on Solana is rowing in the same direction. There's not a ton of politics like you see on other ecosystems, and this kind of fragmentation of mindset and liquidity and all this other stuff. And I think that really helped bring the like super dedicated builders into Solana, and everyone was rowing in the same direction and just kept grinding during 2023. And like around this time last year, things really started heating up, and into January it's just like every week is like things are looking better and better. And the Solana core team is like, they're pretty quiet and humble, but like huge shout out to those guys. They've been making so many network improvements, comparing where the network is today compared to like March or early this year. It's just night and day. So I feel like things are going in the right direction for sure. There's still a ton of work to do and a lot of apps to build. So, take a moment to soak it in, but also like there's a lot of work to do. So don't take it easy.
Definitely. And Cindy, same question for you.
Yeah, I want to echo that. I think even on the DeFi side, we've just seen massive improvements to risk engines, to asset availability, and how DeFi protocols have dealt with volatility in the past year. I just tweeted about this, but we are almost hitting the all-time high DeFi TVL on Solana of 10B back in 2021, except in 2021, a lot of that TVL was like vaporware governance tokens. And today, a lot of that is looking at stablecoin growth, the growth of wrapped assets like Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana LSTs, on Sol itself. So the TVL this time feels much more earned. I would really clawed our way back up in a more sustainable fashion. We didn't see, huge shakeouts in the space now because a lot of the DeFi protocols today have learned, very difficult lessons in the previous run up. So overall, I think the mood sort of feels a bit more like closer to like we've really worked hard towards this moment versus like, hey, we launched a speculative thing that just went up and all of us benefited from it. So huge applause to all the DeFi protocols and infrastructure protocols that have been working hard on Solana in the past few years. But work's not done. I think we can celebrate this moment, but there's still a lot of room left to grow into becoming, cornerstones of the future of fintech. So yeah.
Definitely. And we're definitely gonna echo some of those all-time high numbers throughout some of the questions that we ask. And in one of our latest reports, it was like literally every single Solana DeFi metric, like right now that you can track is currently at an all-time high or eclipsing a previous one. So it's definitely a super exciting time in the space. Anas, I'm going to give you a chance to answer that and just talk us through like what's been going on in your mind the last 18 months and where we're at today.
Yeah, it's been just just believe in ourselves, and we knew the tech worked very well, and it was all about just expanding and bringing it on the market, and that's what it's been the journey for the past 18 months, and it was more about getting more people on board and knowing the pain points and then solving towards the pain points, and that's what the whole blockchain, all the engineers were doing, and that's what we are learning right now as we speak as well with the current congestion and with the current amount of CUs that all the programs are churning in. We are just learning more things and just working at the lightning fast speed to upgrade things and make sure the rails are ready to get the financial, like all the people on the blockchain, and have an open finance thing going on Solana itself and on one blockchain fashion. So it's a learning thing, and it's great to see everything unfolding. And it was all of the people who are currently at the top, they had their all bets way before when things were at zero. So it's very interesting to watch all the things unfold as we are right now.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. So let's kind of start with some Ethereum versus Solana metrics. This is obviously a super hot topic right now. But Solana's monthly spot DEX volume actually doubled Ethereum's for the first time ever. And that was in October. So while Ethereum was at like about 42 billion, Solana eclipsed like 85, which is kind of crazy. So the first question is like, what do you think about like the potential second order effects of this and like the trend, and then the impact on like the Solana DeFi ecosystem overall? Cindy, can we start with you?
Yeah, I think the second order effects that we're seeing now is that Solana is being seen as the main place to launch tokens, and that comes anywhere from RWA tokens all the way to meme coins to the default place for even multi-chain projects to launch a token as a function of more liquidity and trading volume happening on Solana. And that's a pretty significant shift because we think that the chain that is going to win is the chain that will win the most assets issued on the chain. And so this is directly coming from just having more trading interest on Solana, and which is a result of better trading experience, a more integrated all-in-one monolithic chain. And the net result over the next year, I think we're going to see just most assets get issued on Solana versus on Ethereum. And I think that's probably the biggest reason for the flywheel to continue growing on Solana.
Yeah, definitely. Lucas, your take on that same question?
Yeah, I think echo what Cindy said. Like, there's insane number of tokens launch, both meme coins and legitimate tokens on Solana every day. And I think people are starting to realize that Solana is the best place to be. You don't have to worry about playing the L2 politics like on Ethereum, where you have different L2s bribing you to exclusively deploy to their L2 and, not deploy to other ones. And I think another cool thing is that this, we're still super early in getting more systems on chain, and everyone, there's definitely a lot of room for the experience to be improved on Solana, but we're so fortunate that the volume and all these protocols are getting stressed with all these people trading essentially just like meme coins and other assets. In this, basically, it's like trial by fire, and it causes like protocols and core teams to be intensely focused on the most important things. And, I think we'll see the core team, the Solana core and FireDancer core team continue to optimize. And this is like a great battleground and puts Solana in such a good place where there's you don't need to worry about synthetic testing or anything else. It's everything's on fire, everything's getting battle tested, and that's just going to make the chain so much better. And it gives it such a leg up on some of those other high performance chains. They're doing cool stuff, but they don't have this activity, so it's a little harder to get stressed like this. So I think I'm kind of wearing my Solana core hat in the sense that I think it's super bullish for Solana to be able to experience the stress and fix things from it.
Agreed. Yeah, definitely. And then Anas, the same question for you on Solana versus Ethereum.
Yeah, I think on this cycle, what we are seeing is there is ways where people can make money for money. Before there was always people asking, where they can just lend money and get decent rewards, or whales coming in. They never had that amount of liquidity on chain for swapping. Back in the day, there was, but the value was always dwarfed if you compared what we had on Ethereum. But now what we are seeing is we are actually, doing much better volume with much better depth and liquidity on all fronts, and not just spot. We are also seeing that on perps as well, and as well on borrow and lending markets. So the amount of liquidity that is available right now on borrow lend or on perps or even on spot is unmatched right now if you compare on any other blockchain. So yeah, that's interesting in this cycle.
Definitely. Awesome. Yeah. Thank you, Anas. So one of the themes that we kind of wanted to touch upon in this space is North Star metrics. And actually, we had talked a little bit about all-time highs, and then Cindy, you also referenced in your intro about TVL, but Drift's TVL actually reached an all-time high of 423 million last month. So is that something that you look at purely as a North Star metric, or what's kind of the most important thing for you that you're tracking?
Yeah. And yeah, crazy thing is since last month, probably doubled the all-time high TVL. I think we're at 800 now.
Wow.
But yeah, it's been a pretty blockbuster month across the board. But for us as a trading platform that is also a liquidity platform enabling borrow lend, we don't necessarily see ourselves as a pure TVL play. Probably the one metric that we think everything else is downstream of is volume. And the reason that's the case is because our fees, the highest fees that we make are generated as a function of volume in the platform. And it directly tells us the amount of trading interest on the platform. So volume has been hitting all-time highs as well, which then increases the amount of open interest on the platform, which increases the amount of collateral traders have to put in to take positions. And volume also drives yields on the platform. So the higher volumes that we have, the more trading interest that we have, the more it creates borrow interest on our borrow lend platform. And that drives up the yields on stable coins and lending yields for SOL and SOL LSTs as well. So yeah, volume is probably the North Star metrics that we look at right now, as it encapsulates a lot of the functions of trading interest, why people deposit into high yields, and it's a very neat way for us to look forward.
Yeah, and awesome. So volume, TVL, big North Star metrics. Now, kind of turning it to you, Lucas, at Jito. So you guys are hitting all-time highs on monthly MEV, and then all-time highs in stake Jito Sol. So what are some of the things that you look at as North Star metrics on your side?
Yeah, I think on the G Sol side, TVL is a big one. You can look into other stuff like user breakdowns, stuff like that. But for the most part, it's TVL, which is at all-time high. And then on the MEV side, it's the amount of fees being generated, and then also the number of bundles and like how efficiently we are packing the blocks. And I think that also one thing worth noting is that I think I guess I think there's a lot of confusion that we can be better about clarifying, but all the Judo tips aren't necessarily all from MEV. There's a lot of like Telegram bots and front ends that have integrated with Judo tips, and so it's a kind of a proxy for like priority fees and block space demand. So yeah, we obviously want to see a lot of block space demand, but we want to try to get more transactions through, and those are kind of two metrics that we care a lot about: is how many transactions we're landing a day and how much people are paying.
Awesome. Yeah. And so actually one of the things that you've been tweeting about recently too is REV, real economic value. Can you break that down for us as well too, and kind of give us your 2 cents on that?
Yeah. So yeah, REV, I think I want to say Blockworks is kind of been the main one pushing this, but it's essentially the economic value that's being generated by people landing transactions, and it's kind of a demand for block space and how much validators are capturing. And so, let me pull up the graph here real quick. But essentially, REV for Solana is at an all-time high in USD terms. Probably Sol, it must be very close, or all-time highs in Sol terms as well. The REV on Solana, if you go to solana.blockworksresearch.com, they have a REV chart, and it's the transaction fees and the MEV tips, and then there's some like voting and base fees in there as well. So you can kind of see the different fee breakdown between priority fees and Judo tips and base fees, and essentially like this week the Solana chain between all those did 111 million, and last week it was 50 million. So basically 2x in a week. And if I had to guess, we're probably going to pass last week's number today, probably within the next 12 to 24 hours. So it's just like insane acceleration. There's a lot of people using Solana.
Yeah, definitely.
And if you're staking, then you're eating pretty good right now.
For sure. We actually had another speaker join us. Hey, Jay, can you hear us okay and everything?
Yeah, hi.
Awesome.
Hi, everyone. Hi, yeah.
Thanks so much for jumping on. So quickly, just to catch you up, we did some brief intros with Lucas, Cindy, and Anas. If you want to go ahead and kind of give us an intro of yourself and then a little intro of Sanctum, just to provide some context.
Yeah, sure. Thanks. I'm Jay from Sanctum. I'm a co-founder of Sanctum. Sanctum basically is the hub of liquid staking. We do liquid staking infrastructure to power anyone to set up their own LST.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you, Jay. So we talked a little bit about Solana versus ETH, and now we're kind of diving into some North Star metrics as a thematic topic, and actually looking at different all-time highs that we've seen across Solana DeFi. So Anas, I'm actually going to come back to you real quick. So Flash Trade recorded some of the highest DEX velocity among all perp DEXs on Solana. Can you kind of talk about what you see as some North Star metrics on your side?
Honestly, since we already covered TVL, what I mostly focus is more on the mobile users, and it's been an interesting take that we've seen on Flash. Is like we see more than 50 to 60% users on Flash coming from mobile, and that's what we try to focus. The most easiest experience possible, that they can just click in and hit long, and the long just happens. So that's what I personally believe as the key North Star metric for us. That is like more amount of mobile users joining in and just playing around. So yeah.
Awesome, perfect. Yeah, thank you. And so Jay, I'll kind of pose this same question to you on the Sanctum side. What do you see as some of the North Star metrics for Sanctum? Obviously, we know Solana LST share is now up to 7.7% of the total stake, which is a crazy increase from like 3% at the start of the year. So what are some of the things that you look for as like North Star metrics on the Sanctum side?
some of the North Star metrics we look at, obviously, is like the share of LSD. So if we just look back like a year or so, right, in December 2023, you can see that the number of SOL staked that was liquid was somewhere between 3 to 4, right, below 4%. And the number has pretty much doubled to this point. But that's still like a really small number, right? Compared to like other ecosystems like Ethereum. So there's a huge room for there to grow as well. And then that's a number that can increase. So like the number of the percentage of SOL that was staked, it has always been large, but the number of liquid staked SOL is quite indicative of like retail as well, like normal users using staking their SOL. And so that's also a good indication of like institutions, the original supply of SOL moving into the hands of other users as well. So that's like one of our North Star metrics.
Nice, awesome, yeah, I love that. Cool. So let's shift a little bit to another like thematic topic that I think is really pressing right now, and talk about like a little bit of go-to-market strategies. So I guess let's kind of go back to Cindy here. What do you see as some of like the biggest, we'll call it like a two-pronged thing. One is like a kind of a product pitch for using Drift, and then two, like your go-to-market strategy that you've kind of been incorporating and of course had some good success with over the last year.
Yeah. For us, I think the main pitch for using Drift versus other platforms is capital efficiency. You can deposit any assets collateral, and even when you're not in trades, you're essentially earning yield on and benefiting off degens who are borrowing capital to trade on behalf of you. So it's a very cool integrated product where you can trade perps without being isolated from the rest of the Solana ecosystem, and it also acts like almost like a neobank that's earning yield in the back end while you're fueling your leverage trades. It's very much like barbell strategy. And the other big pitch is that even if you're not an active trader on Drift, there are these vaults and structured products that previously were only made available for super high net worth individuals. But now, as we open source all of our strategies available, we just partnered with Gauntlet to launch a hedged JLP vault that's earning you something like 30-40% on USDC, at least in the past month. And what we're really passionate about is basically putting all of these financial tools in the hands of users. And whether you're a leverage trader, junkie, or you just want to make money off stables, or you want to run sophisticated funding rate strategies, depositing Jito Sol and then shorting the Sol perp to earn the Sol funding rates, we have it all for you. And that's the basic premise of Drift, and why I think we've managed to capture quite a big audience within Solana. And as we move forward, like with go-to-market, it's really just emphasizing that on top of that, we actually have the lowest fees for trading perps on Solana. So yeah, emphasizing the use case for users, letting the product speak for itself, and making sure that our customers have a really good experience with liquidity in the platform to the point where they'll tell other people about it. So user referrals are a really big part of our GTM as well.
Awesome. Yeah, I love that. Thank you. And then Lucas, we'll kind of go same question, two parts for you too.
Sorry, what was the question?
So the first side is about product pitch and the different strengths of Jito, and then second would be what have you found the most success with in like your go to market over the last year?
That's a good question. I think on the liquid staking angle, it's I think StakeNet resonates with people, especially when you look at like decentralization of liquid staking tokens on Solana and also other ecosystems. There's kind of there's a need for like a truly decentralized stake pool that has a large number of operators, and then also there's essentially just like a permissionless system running the delegation. So it's essentially in the hands of all these keepers and the algorithm on chain. that's controlled by delegators. So it's just a very fancy way of saying that like it's all automated and decentralized. So I think that's worked well. The MEV angle has also worked pretty well. And yeah, I would say those are like the two kind of main angles that seem to resonate with people.
Awesome, perfect. Great, yeah. And then Anas, same question for you on product pitch side for Flash Trade, and then also go to market.
Yeah, on Flash-Trade, it was more about allowing people to trade and allowing people to provide liquidity in one place, and it was more about matching those two folks in the best way possible and giving them the best experience and the best UX with the best fees, and that's what we've been trying to build, and that's what a lot of people are resonating with as well. They need places to lend money, they need places to see how their deposit money is performing in the best UX possible, and people need trading interfaces where they can open their positions in less than 3 clicks, as I was saying, and it's more about allowing that experience happening as fast as possible on any device is what we go for.
Awesome, thank you, Anas. And then Jay, same one for you on product pitch and then go to market.
Yeah, so I think for us it's slightly different. So it's like our go-to market is basically that we have a vision of that basically anyone can set up an LST, regardless of whether you're like your protocol or validator or even a centralized exchange or whatever, or whether you're like an influencer, like anyone should be able to set up an LST. And we are able to provide that infrastructure that didn't exist and hasn't existed on any other ecosystem other than Solana up to now. We have this like combined social liquidity infrastructure that anyone can tap into, anyone can spin up the LST, and that basically helps the ecosystem and also helps users by giving them new use cases, right? You can support your validator directly. They're able to distribute block rewards that wasn't easy before. You can support your favorite creator by staking with them. You can support your favorite protocol, and they in return can give you more yield, and for example allow you to do like collateral on perps and things like that as well.
Awesome, yeah. Thank you, Jay. Cool. So I want to shift a little bit actually to Cindy on some kind of like market outlook style. So the perp space is super hot within Solana dexes right now, and obviously like Jupiter aggregates on a lot of spot stuff, and then we have a few new emerging players like Ranger Finance that aggregates on the perp side. And kind of given the potential effects of like of aggregators and like the market structure, like how do you see this play out over the next 12 months? Do you see it as like a winner takes all scenario, or like how do you see the landscape settle?
Yeah, I think it's going to look quite similar to the market share in centralized exchanges right now. I think you need multiple derivatives platforms because there's always going to be people hedging their flow on one exchange to another. So in any scenario, we don't think there's going to be a single winner takes all, but a multiple winner scenario. Yeah, so I do think that it'll likely look like a centralized exchange distribution in a year's time. That's it. Yeah, I think the platform that is the most feature complete will likely take the lion's share here.
Cool. Yeah. Thank you, Cindy. And so actually, I think Cindy's going to have to drop off right now for another thing. Do any of the other panelists have any questions for Cindy at all, kind of before we just keep moving along? We can go once. Okay. No worries, Cindy. Thanks so much for joining the space today. Really appreciate it, and thank you for all the insight for Drift. I love it.
Thank you guys so much. Cheers.
Cheers. So Anas, can I pitch that same question to you on the perps market landscape and different, like at least how you see it playing out over the next 12 months?
Yeah, I do echo the same thing that what we have seen is like it's not possible that we'll see just one winner emerge as it all. It would be a tight race between multiple, at least a handful of exchanges, perpetual exchanges on chain, and it
Yeah.
all depends on the kinds of product offering that each of the protocol would offer, and because all of the protocols underlying engines are a bit different, if we are talking about from risk analysis or even matching stuff and the fees and the way they have built and the token economics, all of the stuff actually matters a lot, and it would depend on how basically the best value extract for users would win the best share in the market. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Very cool. So Jay, I have a question for you based around centralized exchange LSTs. Obviously, we've seen BN Sol from Binance, Baby Sol, different centralized exchange LSTs emerge, and they've gained quite a bit of market share, especially over the last few months. Now up to about 11%. So kind of what's your view on this? Should we encourage kind of further centralized exchange LST growth? Are there any drawbacks to this? Should we be worried about centralization in any way? Go ahead and kind of pose that to you.
I mean, centralization is a real issue, but I think it's not something that we need to really worry about, especially not at this point. So before this, right? If you look at like a validator stake, for example, like a lot of the centralized exchanges hold like large amounts of SOL, and so like users that actually like stake their SOL with them don't really know what they're doing, right? They're just like putting it on the SEX and like staking it or locking it to get yield. So a lot of the centralized exchanges actually would charge like a really big amount, a high amount of fees, and so they're not really making much use. They're not making much, right, from their stake. The centralized exchange takes a lot from it, and basically they're stuck on the centralized exchange. They never get on chain. They're never able to access like the Solana ecosystem. So I think the LSTs basically opens up this new world to them. So all of the centralized exchanges basically have this goal of expanding to the on-chain ecosystem. So I think it's a good thing overall, because like a lot of the centralized exchanges now basically they have to fight for mindshare, they have to fight for stakers, and so a lot of them what we're seeing in the market now is that they are significantly incentivizing their users to move to these LSTs by juicing the yield, and I think overall it's good for the users. And now it's not like with LSTs it's so easy to swap to another LST, so I think we really don't need to worry too much about centralization at this point.
Awesome, thank you. Yeah, that's a great take. Really appreciate that. Lucas, just kind of while we're on the topic here of SEX LSTs, do you have any input from your side you'd like to provide?
I think the SEXs obviously they have an incredible distribution. So I think that they have the potential to bring in a lot of SOL into LSTs. I think it remains to be a question of how many of those people are using it on chain. I don't have those numbers off the top of my head, but hopefully they're like with when we see more LSTs on SEXs, then those people will kind of be encouraged to go on chain. And yeah, I would agree with Jay. I think that like as an LST, obviously you want to be as large as possible because there's really big network effects, but the centralization is like not a concern at this point. I think it's like under 10% of SOLs in LSTs. Judo Sol is the largest with like 40-ish%. So like when you look at the actual numbers, it's not really an issue right now.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, thank you for that. So we had kind of hinted at it earlier, but let's dive into the meme coin topic a little bit. So obviously, meme coin mania is upon us. I don't think it's going anywhere. It's definitely here to stay. Pump.fun reached an all-time high in 704,000 tokens created last month. That included about 75% of all Solana DEX volume, which is just absolutely insane. So Anas, let's go to you here. How do you think like this surge in DEX volume from meme coins, how do you think it impacts the ecosystem overall?
It basically, it's a correlation between the amount of users hitting the chain, the tokens that we are seeing, So it's pretty similar to what we see. And I just want to take a different approach and just tell you, like when a city grows, you'll see number of restaurants and hospitals growing, right? So it's pretty similar to what we're seeing on the blockchain. Is like when we are seeing lot more speculators hitting the chain, we'll see a lot more places and lot more things to speculate on, and that's a bullish thing to happen. And that's what we say, like let's have more than 1 trillion tokens on chain, and let's try to have the problem solved of indexing them and having an avenues for them to trade in different ways and do whatever they want to do with those tokens.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you. And so how does the meme coin phenomenon actually like apply to the LST side? Jay, can you kind of talk about some of those second order effects?
Yeah. I think mainly if we can look at some of, like, for example, like the Jido client, right? Like some of the tips and the increase in block rewards, increase in priority fees, with all this like meme coin activity means that there's more yield for users essentially. So a lot of the validator LSDs are giving back these rewards to their users, so there's increased yield in the LSD space. But of course, I mean, in a attention market, LSDs are slightly like more stable. I mean, if you compare them to meme coins, because it's just so it's a harder like fight for attention. But I think overall it's basically like a better soul in a way. So it's fine. Like people just hold it. We've seen like some meme coins try to deploy some LSDs. For example, recently Zerebro did Zerebro. So it's like you can use these like staking yields to like fund your project essentially. But we're also exploring in ways that there's some of these like economic activity. We have a lot of validators in our network, like how we can like provide more value to validators as well as like stakers.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then Lucas, same question to you. Does like the impact of meme coins right now, does that affect any like your product roadmap or like plans for future development at all?
Yeah, it kind of delays future products because we're just fighting so many fires. It's like it's insane. We're doing like, I think the chain does I think it's like, how many transactions? I can't remember how many transactions a day, but a few weeks ago we were doing like 400 million bundles a day, and then the other day we got like 2.6 billion. So it's just like 30,000 API requests per second, and yeah, there's just like fire after fire. Like you release one bottleneck, and then another comes up, and then you have to fix that, and it's just been super chaotic, but it's been extremely fun. And yeah, I think like the Jido tips are paying out extremely large rewards to stakers. I think it's a few percentage now. And so if you're staking to a Jido client, then you're kind of receiving all those Jido tips. And definitely if you're not staking on Solana, you're missing out on a good chunk of staking yield.
Right. Awesome. Yeah. Thank you. And so kind of continuing on that theme of like, future outlook and where we're going. Anas, you guys are doing a TGE here pretty soon in Q4. You want to talk to us a little bit about that? Talk about maybe some of the like Flash Trade's token utility. Like, what do you think is kind of like the most compelling thing for the platform's users?
It's more about providing value for users all the while having utility as well. So we basically termed it as a rug because it involves revenue, utility, and governance. So trying to have all three things in one, and having things more value and more utility attached to the token, so that it does not seem as if you are just buying the token to sell it. You just have real value because you can trade, and it's more about having a suite of products under the brand so that you have more avenues to use the token for. So that is what we are working towards, and it's been a lot of interesting ways to expand. And it's a pretty novel mechanism that we're trying to do, where the team is not getting any tokens. We don't have any vesting schedule as such for the token itself. So basically, the team gets rewarded tokens once and when we ship products, and these products will only be launched when we have the governance, the voters voting for those products to be launched. So basically we'll have inflation only and only when we have new products coming in under the Flashes brand. So that is something new that we are trying with Futaki, and we're not using governance for the sake of just voting. It's more about the real value of the token would be realized when the product is launched through the holders voting on it for it. So it's a pretty novel mechanism that we're trying to work on here, where there is no set schedule for the team to getting tokens.
Yeah.
They will only get tokens if they ship things.
Right. Are there any other developments that are on the product roadmap for the next few months?
Basically, we are trying to expand the suite of products that are under Flash's brand. It's not just going to be sticking to perpetuals. We are going to expand on other things, and that should be the alpha for now.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you, Anas. And then on the LSD side, Jay, can you kind of talk to us about some of your future outlook here, next 6 months? What are some things that you kind of have on your product roadmap right now?
Yeah, I mentioned that a year ago it was like at 3%, like around less than 3% actually at a certain point before December. So we basically more than doubled that. In the next year, hopefully that number doubles or triples, right? And the Ethereum number is more than 30%. Hopefully we can reach that in the next year. In terms of like product, I guess we have quite a few stuff in the pipeline. 2 of which in Breakpoint we announced, some of which is like creator coins, which will like enable influencers, creators, artists to sort of spin up their own LSTs, which 100% of the returns will go to the creators. So it's a sustainable way of income. We'll see how that works. It'll probably be out early December. We have a card which will enable people to spend their SOL yields that we're working with Base app. So these are like top of the line things. We are also working on, for example, a portfolio tracker sort of ish to enable a different kind of view for LST. So right now, there's not a very good way to look at your yield or like how much SOL you actually made. So that's something that we are working on in the future. And then there's a lot of like bottom of stack things that we're working on that we can't really say too much at the moment, but we're looking into and working on now.
Awesome. Thank you, Jay. Yeah, and I guess this is probably a perfect point, Lucas. I kind of tee up just from your side on the future outlook, but probably a good time to tee up like the restaking conversation. I know that you've been all over that, and you guys are kind of rolling out some brand new things here over the coming months. But maybe talk about that a little bit, and then some of the things that you have on your roadmap.
Yeah. The Jito restaking protocol was launched a few weeks ago. It's currently it's got a $50 million cap on it, right around that. And there's a ton of activity in Jito governance, or like, there's a ton of stuff going on. I think there's like 3 active protocols right now. And so there's one that go on the Jito forum. It's forum.jito.network and check it out. There's one today that is a proposal to create a decision market on whether to adopt JTO staking in the tip router, which is kind of the first NCN that is being built that will leverage Jito restaking. Definitely recommend that. As far as like development goes, there's like a lot of work that we're doing on the kind of block building and auction stack to make transactions and blocks more efficient, and then really figuring out how we can kind of take Solana to the next level as far as performance. There's a lot of like core infra stuff that we're working on right now that will hopefully make Solana really faster.
Definitely. Awesome. Thank you. Yeah. Great answer. So that was about kind of all that I wanted to cover, at least in terms of like structured questions on our side and different themes. Lucas and Nas, Jay, do you guys have any questions for each other at all? If not, I can also open it up to people that are listening if you want to request to speak, and also chime in with a question as well too.
I got a hard one for other people. What do you guys think is the biggest risk to Solana right now? Like why would Solana fail from here?
I would say if we just start pushing up the priority fee and everything goes much higher, and the cost of landing transaction actually is the medium cost of transaction actually goes to $1, that might be a problem, and it seems like we are on that route right now. Until unless we see block space being increased. I think there is an SIMD that has passed, should go live near Christmas. So yeah.
I think there are probably two things. The first is if developers just stop building apps, right? Like for users, I think that's a serious problem for Solana, right? Like if we end up like being complacent and starting to build like infra or like sort of like value extraction apps, then it becomes an issue instead of building apps for users. But I don't think that's a problem now. And then of course the payroll fees, like if fees go up, it's not a very good experience for users if we want to eventually be fast. Then I think that's important. But I think also performance, right? Like at a certain point, if it bottlenecks, then so right now Solana has this advantage of being like the fast chain compared to like Ethereum or like L2s. It has a very good UI, but the moment like the performance starts to degrade or like the chain goes down again, just like last cycle, for example, I think it's not the best experience, and that could be a problem.
Yeah, I was gonna chime in off of Jay there and give my 2 cents on this too. I would say like fault tolerance is probably one of the biggest things right now, and obviously keeping Solana alive, and that helps with various clients that are being developed, just like FireDancer. The Hansa team, obviously, of course, is working on the main one. You guys, Lucas at Jito, and then we have our SIG team as well too. So I think fault tolerance and client diversity is going to be a really big boost for the network. We just got to get some of these clients out. Yeah, I'm chiming in with that. That was a great question. Any other kind of questions for the panel up here?
I think Lucas might also be able to shed light on the priority fee thing. Do you think we'll hit with the average priority be $1 in the next 15 days or so?
Well, for like super hot state, maybe. I was playing around with Jupiter earlier today, and it was just auto setting the fee, and it was like 30 cents, which for me is like fine. If you're like if you're trying to make markets on chain, that's not super ideal. So I think that, but also if I send you USDC, then it's not going to be that much. I think that, don't quote me on this, but I think their 2.1 will be much faster. So there's even 2.0 is much faster than 1.18. Network just upgraded 2.0 like 2 weeks ago. So replay time is fast, and there's a lot of engineers at Hansa that are focusing a lot on making replay faster. So I think that hopefully within the next 6 months, we'll see block size double or maybe more. But don't hold me or the Hansa engineers to that number. Just optimistic.
Awesome. Yeah. Great questions. I guess we can kind of go one more time here if anybody else has any other further questions to add. If not, I just want to give a big shout out and thank you to Lucas, Jay, and Anas for jumping on the space today. This was phenomenal. So really thank you guys for your time and for all the questions and answers. It looks like actually we had one request for a speaker that just came through now. I think Brainerd from our team might have a question. Let's see if he can join. should be working from my side. Hey, Brainerd, can you hear us?
Brainerd, you'll have to unmute your mic.
Oh yeah. Thanks for the opportunity to ask a question. So yeah, I'm Bamban. So at the start of this space, we talk about how for the first time Solana's monthly spot DEX volume doubled that of Ethereum's. So however, when we look at stablecoin supply, Ethereum's stablecoin supply is 98 billion compared to Solana's 4 billion. So in other words, Solana's stablecoin supply is just 5% of Ethereum's. So what do you guys actually think about Solana stablecoin supply still lagging behind Ethereum's? Do you guys think this gap between Solana and Ethereum will eventually close?
I think it will close, and I think it'll close. And I also think that Solana is just so much more capital efficient when you look at the DEX, like DEX designs, and you have DEXs like Phoenix and concentrated liquidity markets like Orca and Radium, compared to kind of a lot of the stuff that you see on Ethereum. It's much more efficient, so you can do more with less. I think that also there's several lending protocols in Solana that have also been killing it, and I think those will continue to be battle tested more and more, and trust will be gained. I think you see Maker, Rune, and Maker coming onto Solana, I think earlier this week or last week. USDS, that's going to bring in a ton of stables and also signal to Ethereum and EVM OGs that Solana is where everything's happening. Solana is a place to be, and that will bring people with a lot of stables. So I think that I don't have any reason to believe that Solana stables are going to go down. And like actually Ethereum stables will probably come down because everything is moving to the L2s. So I think they will continue to converge.
Yeah, I would agree. I think if you think about it, you can think of like a lot of ETH TVL stable coins is from old money, right? Like from OGs or from like old users that made monies in previous cycle. But if you look directly at like net flows, right, the inflows and outflows, you can see that like Ethereum's outflows are significantly higher. Solana's inflows are significantly higher. So I think in terms of relative growth, this shouldn't be a problem. We should be able to catch up eventually.
Awesome. Yeah. Cool. I think this is probably a good time to wrap. So big thank you to Jay, Lucas, Anas for joining us, and then also Cindy who had to pop off. Really appreciate the roundtable and the discussion, guys. This was fantastic. We're going to definitely try to do some more of these going forward. I thought this was super collaborative, so really appreciate you guys, and thank you. Hopefully we'll see you again here soon, and then on the next one. And thanks to everybody that tuned in as well too. I'll let you guys say a round of goodbyes as well.
Yeah, thanks for having me. All eyes on Solana.
Absolutely.